Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about platformization and contingent cultural commodities as directed in the COM 200 class at North Carolina State University. Once again, my name's Cameron Carter from our last video. So to go right into it, we looked at an article by Nieberg and Cole 2018, The Platformization of Cultural Production, Theorizing the Contingent Cultural Commodity. And I'm going to go through this really quick just to explain some key things. And as I'm talking about this article, I'm going to be referencing Xbox Game Pass as a platform that I believe fits the definition of platform. And also, I think it's a very new cultural commodity, not so much in a sense that people are paying for its value, but that the cultural commodity is the game developer. The commodity is what Xbox is paying their value to the game developer to get on Xbox Game Pass. So I don't think that's talked a lot about. And personally, I see that Xbox themselves, Microsoft, is moving towards Game Pass more as their main focus, shifting away from their traditional platform of the Xbox themselves and moving towards this subscription service, Xbox Game Pass. I believe that soon they're going to be offering it on phones. They're probably going to offer it on PlayStation, etc. They already have it on PC and Xbox. So I'm going to be talking about that as I go through this article. And then finally, I asked ChatGPT 3.5 some prompts about Xbox Game Pass, asking some questions related to the article to see if we can give any relevant insight. And I'll be giving a commentary on that insight. So to jump right in, I just highlighted some key things about this article that I thought were really important. First off, within the abstract, they define the platform itself. They say cultural content producers have to continuously grapple with seemingly serendipitous changes in platform governance, ranging from content creation to pricing strategies. And simultaneously, these producers are enticed by new platform services and infrastructural changes. In the process, cultural commodities become fundamentally contingent, that is increasingly modular in design and continuously reworked and repacked, informed by datafied user feedback. So talking about Game Pass, I think the contingency comes from users who are paying for the subscription, then give this data, their data of the hours they logged or how many people downloaded, or maybe even how many people have friends that are playing, to see if they're getting mentioned, how many shared videos on YouTube or Twitch these games are having, and that in turn gives a commodity, a contingent commodity to Xbox that we'll talk about later. And then in this chapter, the platformization of cultural production, theorizing the contingent cultural commodity, is going to just give our broad definitions. So user engagement and retention in the form of social referrals, comments, search rank, and page views. Such metrics are employed to calculate whether it's profitable to further edit and optimize content and invest in paid for promotion or halt the engagement, optimization, retention, acquisition cycle. And this is basically saying that, like what I was saying earlier, these social referrals, the comments, the clickability, like what's getting these games on this platform downloaded are considered the contingent commodity. Then the article goes on to give two separate definitions of contingent. First, it's argued that cultural production is progressively contingent on, is dependent on a select group of powerful digital platforms, such as Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft. And this is really important because Game Pass is a Microsoft service. So in the whole of video games, the video game players and video game producers are contingent on Microsoft and Microsoft's approval, which we'll talk about a little later in the article. So we and the game developers are contingent on Xbox and on Game Pass. The second meaning of contingent is products and services offered and circulated via digital platforms are contingent in the sense they are malleable, modular in design, and informed by data-fied user feedback, open to constant revision and recirculation. And so in the Game Pass model, every month there are new games that are put on the Game Pass for basically in the catalog, such as Netflix, and you can choose which games to play, and then titles are removed. A lot of time these games are indie games and they're small developers. And so what is in the catalog of Xbox Game Pass is going to be basically based on these contingent, like the user feedback, the constant revision. Basically, Xbox is going to say, okay, who got clicked on the most, and they're going to then give, like, they're either going to let them stay on the Game Pass catalog longer, or they're going to take them away. And so these companies are going to tailor their games to what they think will generate the most value for Microsoft, and Microsoft will tailor their service for what they think will get the most value. Then they give the definition of platformization. Platformization can be defined as the penetration of economic, governmental, and infrastructural extensions of digital platforms to the web and app ecosystems, fundamentally affecting the operation of cultural industries. And so I think that not only is Xbox the platform in one sense, but the Xbox Game Pass is also a platform in that it is a infrastructural extension of a digital platform to web ecosystems. Like I was talking about earlier, there is already an Xbox Game Pass for the PC, and I think that they will eventually put it on phones, and we could see it even breach into other competitors' platforms. So I would define Xbox Game Pass itself as a platform. And then another thing to note is that a cultural production is becoming increasingly platform dependent. The autonomy and economic sustainability of particular forms of cultural production is increasingly compromised. And then going into the theory of platformization, really quick. Business scholars emphasize how network effects allow platform holders to set pricing structures on one side of the market. The money side covers the costs, and the other side, the subsidy side, is what is being paid for by that market side. So basically with Xbox, the money side would be the subscription, and then the subsidy side would be the Microsoft paying these indie developers to put their games on Game Pass. And then a little further into the software studies on this article, our examples from news and game production show algorithmic logic becomes gradually more central to cultural production as content developers are progressively orienting their production and circulation strategies towards the recommendation ranking and other kinds of end user facing algorithms in major platforms. So I think Xbox Game Pass definitely has their own internal algorithm for deciding what games they should put on their catalog. We don't really see a algorithm as an end user because the catalog's pretty small. Then more applies to like what would be on the front page of Netflix, for example. But they do have their own internal algorithms to know like what kind of game content is getting clicked on and utilized the most. And then further on, the software theory, as software studies, scholars have argued since digital games are component-based software, they are necessarily platform dependent. Game publishers have always followed platform native distribution and publishing strategies, which affected organization market structures. For over 2 decades, dedicated game consoles function as two-sided markets that serve as an attractive venue for game publishers to reach players. As a result of this market configuration, the game industry has historically been subject to strong winner-take-all effects, relatively small number of premium-priced blockbuster franchises, such as Call of Duty and FIFA, dominate the market. So in this article, they're talking specifically about games themselves and being on the platform, specifically of like Xbox, Nintendo, or PlayStation. And so developers would basically fit their game to those platforms, to the language that those can read. Like, for example, Nintendo reads in a language different than Xbox, which is like the same that would read in a PC, and then Sony has another proprietary platform. So what this is saying is that the game publishers would tailor a game to that independent platform. But with Xbox Game Pass, basically they're going to tailor the game to the exact, like everyone's going to be doing the exact same PC model, PC Xbox model. But the stylistic choices and the artistic choices of those software companies or the indie game companies actually is going to be what's going to dominate what gets vetted into Xbox Game Pass. And so you won't really see like a Call of Duty or a FIFA being dominant, but what you will see is that a certain type, like say, for example, platformers or side scrollers got super popular for some reason, then you'd see an influx of those on something like a Game Pass, where their contingent commodity has gotten really big. And then the last comment, new era of abundance favors data-driven game design strategies, intensifying the contingent nature of golf commodities. Game developers leverage the contingent nature of games as software by continuously altering, extending, or upgrading game content functionalities, where simultaneously optimizing its monetization value. That's exactly what I was just talking about, where they're going to tailor their games to fit that Game Pass model. I think that's enough talking about the article for now. And we're going to switch over to just talking about ChatGPT. So I asked a few questions about Xbox Game Pass to see if ChatGPT had knowledge about platformization and contingent commodities. So I asked, what can I do to get my game on Xbox Game Pass? And ChatGPT recommended a few things. Developing a high quality game, build a relationship with Microsoft, join ID at Xbox, submit your game, and be flexible with your terms. So it doesn't really say anything about specific algorithms that Game Pass might be vetting for, or any rules that Xbox Game Pass might have. But it does kind of give like a general idea. This would probably be the 5 bullet points for getting your game just monetized in any way. So it doesn't really go into the weeds with like Game Pass specifically. I like that it says building a relationship with Microsoft by reaching out to Xbox team. And I don't really think that's how it works. I would think that if your game got really popular on Steam, they would probably reach out to you and give you a large lump sum offer to get bought out essentially by Game Pass. So it's not really hitting the mark here. Then I asked, is Xbox Game Pass a contingent commodity? As we talked about, I tried to explain a little bit from the article why I think Xbox Game Pass is a contingent commodity. ChatGPT disagrees. They say Xbox Game Pass is not typically considered a contingent commodity in the traditional economic sense. Contingent commodities are goods whose values depend on certain future events or outcomes. Instead, Xbox Game Pass is a subscription service offered by Microsoft that provides subscribers with access to a library of games for a monthly fee. However, the success of Xbox Game Pass and the value it provides to subscribers could be influenced by various contingent factors. Additionally, Microsoft's decisions regarding the content and pricing of Game Pass could also be influenced by contingent factors. Overall, while Xbox Game Pass itself may not be considered a contingent commodity, its value and success can be influenced by a range of contingent factors in the gaming industry and in the broader market landscape. So I would consider that true. I think Xbox Game Pass itself is not a contingent commodity to the like, well, I think I would disagree, actually. I would think that Xbox Game Pass is a contingent commodity to the user because the catalog of games would really ultimately decide its value to me, even though it is a subscription service, like what ChatGPT is saying. Yes, there is a straight up value of like $8 a month, and I would make its commodity. It's non-contingent. However, that could be like a surplus commodity to me if I imagine that if my games that are on there are worth like $20 a month value, then it would be contingent on what is in the catalog. I also think that Game Pass, in a sense, is a contingent commodity to Microsoft itself, because the catalog, what the catalog's generating in users subscribing would be contingent on the catalog itself. So they are the commodity of the subscription service is contingent on the game quality and the content and the basically user generation. Are games within Xbox Game Pass considered a contingent commodity? Hence here, I try and weed out an answer from ChatGPT to get to what I'm talking about. And it says the games within Xbox Game Pass can be considered contingent commodities to some extent. So it does agree with me, although they don't fit the traditional definition perfectly. I would assume they do fit the definition given in the article more than economic traditional definition. ChatGPT agrees that there's value tied to the subscription, dependent on availability, subject to consumer preferences, influence on platform policies. And so the fourth bullet is actually a big one that I didn't talk about from the article. They're talking about how Apple basically has rules set forth that would basically ban things from being on the App Store and things. These laws could also be applied within Game Pass. I'm sure there's a ban on X-rated games. So this last bullet point that says the inclusion of games within Xbox Game Pass can be influenced by Microsoft's policies and agreements with game developers and publishers. Changes in these policies or agreements could impact the availability and variety of games within the service. So just because a publisher already has a rapport with Xbox Game Pass doesn't mean that they could just produce an X-rated game and get it on there. Additionally, if a game is really popular and it's a political move for Xbox at some point, for whatever reason, they could bar a certain game to get that off of Game Pass. However, that seems unlikely. And then finally, I just asked, is Xbox Game Pass a platform? From earlier in my video, I explained why I think Xbox Game Pass is a platform, and back to the definition from the platform definition in an article. And ChatGPT did not agree. They said Xbox Game Pass is not a platform in the traditional sense. Rather, it is a subscription service offered by Microsoft. So in ChatGPT's logic, they are thinking platform as in Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Nintendo, just the big platform, like the physical platform where you would play games. Um, so they're not thinking of platform as in Twitter or platform as in Netflix. But as we discussed earlier, I would argue that Xbox Game Pass is a platform just like those other services. So in all, ChatGPT answered some of my questions, but I had to word it in a different way, and some of them it completely missed the mark. So yeah, I hope that this was educational. Talking about Xbox Game Pass, I think it is the future of gaming, the subscription-based service. It's important to talk about as algorithms change and these models get developed into more of a streamlined thing. We'll notice that our games might all start to look the same. So yeah,